All right, we're here to break down some really big ideas. And today we're tackling a huge one. How do we make sure the AI we're building is actually working for all of us, for all of humanity?
I mean, think about it. AIs are making billions of decisions every single second. But who are they really working for? That's the core question, right? It's not just about what they can do, but what we've told them they should do. So, to even begin to answer that, we've got to zoom out, way out. We have to look at the big picture. This isn't something we can patch later, like a software bug. No, this is about defining the mission from the get-go. What are we even trying to achieve on a planetary scale? And that big goal, that North Star for humanity, we can call it global welfare. And look, this is way more than just money or economic progress. It's the total societal well-being. Everything from health and good governance to social good and real equity for everyone. That is the target we're aiming for. All right, so how do we get from where we are to that massive global goal? Well, to understand that, we have to zoom way, way in. Let's go from the planetary scale down to a single AI agent and figure out how it thinks. You see, every single AI, whether it's the one picking your next song or the one managing a city's power grid, it's running on something called agent utility. You can think of it as its prime directive, its mission. It's a really specific goal, a payoff function that's hard-coded into it. It's basically the AI's definition of a job well done. Okay, here's a really simple way to think about it. An AI's utility function, it's just a to-do list, but it's written in math. That's it. It's a set of instructions that says, do these things to get the highest score. It's beautifully simple and also incredibly powerful. And this quote right here, it just hits the nail on the head. Agent utility is the microeconomic building block of social outcomes. What does that mean? It means that every one of those tiny little to-do lists adds up. All those small decisions, all those local goals, they stack up and literally build the world we live in. It's how a line of code becomes a social outcome.
So, here's the billion-dollar question. What happens when we scale this whole thing up? What happens when it's not just one AI, but billions of them, all running around trying to check off their own little mathematical to-do lists at the exact same time? And this right here, this is the core tension. On one side, you have the AI agent. Its goal? Maximize its own reward. It's all about local efficiency. But on the other side, you have us, humanity. Our goal? Maximize the collective benefit, global welfare and fairness. You can see the problem, right? An AI focused on its own little task can easily create negative side effects or externalities that it doesn't even see because its world is small and ours is big. Let me give you a perfect everyday example, a traffic jam. For you, as one driver, taking that clever shortcut on a side street seems like the best possible move. It's your optimal local decision. But what happens when thousands of other drivers, or in our case, AIs, all make that same optimal choice? You get total gridlock. Everybody loses. That is the local versus global trade-off in action. Okay, so this tension, it sounds pretty bad, but it's not an unsolvable problem. It just means we have to be really, really intentional about how we design these systems. So let's walk through a playbook, a kind of guide for building a future where AI's actions actually create a positive sum outcome for everyone. So here it is, a 4-step playbook. Step 1, align the scales. This means we have to design the little goals, the micro goals for each AI in a way that they naturally add up to the big macro outcomes we want to see. Step 2, define good fairly. This is huge. We have to consciously decide what values, what kind of fairness we want these systems to optimize for. Step 3, prepare for uncertainty. We've got to build robust systems that don't break when something unexpected happens. And finally, step 4, prove the impact. We can't just cross our fingers and hope it works. We need to rigorously measure the real-world effects to make sure we're actually getting a net benefit. Now, all of these are absolutely critical. But let's just zero in on step 2 for a second. Define good. Because this might just be the single most important choice humanity will ever make. This is the moment where the problem stops being about technology and becomes deeply, profoundly moral. What version of good do we write into the code that will literally run our world? And to really get a feel for how big this choice is, just look at these two competing visions. Option A is maximum efficiency. The goal here is just to maximize the total sum of everything, make the biggest economic pie possible, period. Who gets what slice doesn't matter as much. Then you have option B, maximum fairness. Here, the goal is to prioritize the people who are worst off, to make sure everyone gets a fair slice, even if it means the whole pie is a little smaller. Two totally different philosophies.
And that's why this choice is a formal embodiment of value judgments. That's a fancy way of saying it's not some technical setting you can just tweak. It's a moral one. We are literally embedding our ethics into the machine's logic.
So all of this, it leads us to one final really powerful idea. What if we didn't have to carry forward all the baggage from our current systems, all the biases, the old rules? What if we could just start from scratch?
And that brings us to this concept called zero-based thinking sum. It's kind of like zero-based budgeting, where you justify every expense from zero. But this is for society's goals. It's the radical idea of hitting a normative reset button. Instead of just tweaking the world we have, we take a huge step back and ask, from first principles, what should our goals even be?
This way of thinking forces us to ask a really challenging question. If we were building our society from the ground up today, knowing everything we know and having the power of AI at our disposal, what rules would we create to make sure that society was fair, resilient, and worked for everyone? So, I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Just for a second, forget all the practical limitations of today. If you could give a global, planet-spanning AI system just one single goal, one prime directive to optimize for the good of all humanity, what would that goal be?